My mom left a voicemail. "You're out. Don't come back. We're moving on without you," she said. I simply replied, "Okay." So I moved on first and locked the deal. By morning, I had 46 missed calls. Then their lawyer texted, "We have a serious problem. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment like this. Your like and share can carry this story to someone who needs hope, healing, or strength today. Red Heart." My name is Sienna Hartwell. I'm 28 years old, and I spend my days auditing compliance systems for a pharmaceutical company in Portland. But no training manual ever prepared me for the 11-word text message that detonated my family. It arrived on a Thursday morning, sandwiched between a vendor email and a lukewarm herbal tea. I glanced down and saw my mother's number, the message cold and mechanical, like she was canceling a streaming service. Not her daughter. "You're done here. Stay away. We don't need you anymore." No context, no warmth, just an execution. For several seconds, I simply stared at my screen, feeling pressure building behind my eyes. Then the part of my brain that spends 40 hours a week catching fraud patterns in clinical trials quietly activated. I didn't respond with emotion. I didn't beg for clarity. I typed 3 letters. Got it. Then I moved first. I logged into the family business account I had established 2 years ago, the one managing our shared commercial property lease and the new cafe space we were scheduled to sign for next month. And I revoked every authorization connected to my identity. No more contracts executed using my business license. No more withdrawals without my explicit approval. Then I contacted the landlord and formally removed myself as the guarantor on the cafe deal they were depending on. Finally, I locked down the small business retirement fund I had structured for them, ensuring nothing could be modified or emptied without triggering alerts sent directly to me. By the time my tea went cold, every easy pathway they assumed ran through me had been sealed shut. I thought that would be the conclusion. Instead, by 8 o'clock the next morning, my phone displayed 52 missed calls and a voicemail from their attorney stating, "We have a critical legal matter to discuss." I actually smiled when I heard it and drafted my response, because they had no comprehension that the problem wasn't my absence. It was everything I took with me. When I left, stay with me until the end, and you'll witness how one brutal text message evolved into a family conflict where the person they attempted to erase ended up controlling every single piece. The following morning, I woke to my phone vibrating so aggressively it nearly fell off my nightstand. For a moment, I assumed it was my alarm clock. Then I saw the display, 52 missed calls. Mother, father, numbers I didn't recognize. One from a law firm I vaguely knew. The most recent notification was a voicemail from their attorney. I inserted my earbuds and pressed play while I started brewing tea. "This is Marcus Langford, representing Gregory and Pauline Hartwell. Sienna, we need immediate communication. This matter is urgent. Please return this call at your earliest convenience." His tone carried that tension lawyers develop when they realize their clients omitted crucial information. I let the message finish and stared out my window for a moment, listening to the kettle whistle. My phone kept illuminating as new texts arrived from Mother. "Sienna, this is a terrible misunderstanding. Call me. We need to talk." From Father, "Sweetheart, whatever occurred, we can resolve this. Please contact us." Another from Mother, "We didn't intend it that way. We were emotional. Come to the house so we can clarify." Interesting, I thought, because yesterday there had been zero ambiguity in her message. "You're done here. Stay away. We don't need you anymore." That had seemed remarkably precise to me. I scrolled through the messages, half expecting to see Natasha's name somewhere in the deluge. Nothing. Not a single text, or missed call from my younger sister, who typically flooded our family group chat about the most trivial matters. For someone who craved attention constantly, she was remarkably silent now. While the tea steeped, I opened my building's security application and pulled up the camera footage from our lobby entrance. Almost reflexively, the screen displayed a clip from earlier that morning. My father standing outside the glass entrance of my apartment complex, hands buried deep in his coat pockets, staring up at the third floor, where my unit was located. He checked his phone, hesitated like he was about to press the intercom button, then turned and walked away. No call, no buzz, just retreat. My chest constricted for half a second. Then I pushed the sensation away. When people demonstrate how effortlessly they can sever you, you don't rush to soothe them when they feel the blade swing back. During my commute to work, my phone kept buzzing in my bag. I ignored it. At my desk, I finally sent 3 brief responses. To Mother, I'm fine. I need space to process. To Father, I heard the voicemail. I'm not prepared to talk yet. To the attorney, I received your message. I will respond through written correspondence. I owed nobody more than that. Shortly before lunch, my colleague Denise rolled her chair over to my cubicle, lowering her voice. You've been staring at that monitor like you're planning to incinerate it, she said. Everything all right at home? I almost said yes automatically, but stopped myself. Not exactly. My parents decided I'm removed from the family business. Her eyebrows shot upward. Do they understand you are the family business? I shrugged. They sent a text. I secured the accounts. Now, their lawyer is calling. Denise let out a long whistle. Listen, I'm not dictating your choices, but you understand how these situations unfold. The moment money enters the picture, everyone starts performing. If you make decisions based on guilt, they'll twist that into you admitting wrongdoing. Ensure every choice you make is something you'd be comfortable explaining to a judge someday. I nodded. That aspect I understood better than most. Compliance auditing was my profession. I had spent years constructing systems so people couldn't quietly manipulate records behind each other's backs. And now I was realizing I had built the ideal framework to prevent my own family from doing exactly that to me. As I walked to the break room to refill my mug, my phone buzzed again. A new text from an unknown number. Heard you backed out of the cafe lease because you're stressed. Are you okay? It was a cousin on my mother's side. Stressed? That was absolutely not my terminology. It sounded like something Natasha would say while dabbing at non-existent tears. The pieces began aligning in my mind. The timing of her losing her graphic design contract, the way she'd started using phrases like streamline the business structure and unlock dormant equity during Sunday brunches, as if she had ever cared about financial statements before. The fact that she was the only one silent now, like someone who had already pulled strings backstage and was waiting in the wings to observe the outcome. I stared at my phone and felt the first clean edge of rage, cold and precise, slide into position. If Natasha orchestrated this, if she believed she could shove me aside from what I built and climb into my position while our parents cooperated, then she had selected the wrong sister to pick a financial battle with. 4 days later, I attempted to pretend life was ordinary by doing something painfully mundane. I went to the neighborhood cafe. I always visited on Sundays, the kind of establishment where the barista knows your order and the regulars discuss hiking trails and real estate trends. I had just picked up my oat milk latte when I heard someone call my name. Sienna, hey. I turned and saw Kenneth Morrison, one of my father's old colleagues from the construction firm he used to work at. He patted my shoulder like nothing was wrong. Heard about the cafe space, he said, lowering his voice like he was sharing confidential information. Rough situation. I frowned. What about it? He winced. Just what your mother and Natasha were saying in the family group text, that you withdrew because work pressure became too much for you, that you were stressed, and it wasn't a good time for you mentally. He said mentally the way people do when they're afraid to say breakdown. I felt my jaw tighten, stressed. There it was again. I forced a smile, so tight it felt like it might fracture. Yeah, well, you know how information travels, I said. Kenneth patted my arm, told me to take care, and wandered off toward the condiment station. I walked out of the cafe before my expression revealed what I was actually feeling. Outside in the crisp Portland air, I pulled out my phone and scrolled back through my messages. Not one call from Natasha, not one text, but somehow she was comfortable telling extended family that I was too unstable to handle a business deal I had practically engineered myself. That wasn't just gossip. That was foundation work. Sitting in my car, I opened my contacts and tapped a name I hadn't used in months. Elizabeth Chun, the business consultant who had helped me establish the original framework for our family commercial account before my parents, under Natasha's influence, switched to someone newer and flashier. Elizabeth answered on the second ring. Sienna, this is unexpected, she said, still keeping everyone compliant. Working on it, I said. I have a question. Has anyone attempted to modify ownership structure in Hartwell Commercial Partners recently? There was a pause, the kind where you can hear someone lean forward with concern. I've seen some preliminary documents circulate, she said slowly. Your mother mentioned a new consultant, asked several hypothetical questions, but I noticed references to adding another family member as a managing partner, and your authorization line was blank. It appeared questionable, so I informed her nothing could proceed without you. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Another family member. Natasha, of course. Did any of it go through? I asked. No, she said. The paperwork was incomplete and frankly suspicious. But Sienna, if someone is trying to bypass procedures to gain control of your business account, you need to act proactively. I thanked her, disconnected, and stared at the dashboard for a long moment. I thought about the text message telling me I was done. I thought about Kenneth using the word stressed. I thought about my mother suddenly wanting a new consultant right after Natasha lost her contract. This wasn't random. This was a calculated plan with a weak legal foundation and significant emotional manipulation layered on top. A new notification appeared while I sat there. From Natasha. Finally. What do you think you're doing, Sienna? Withdrawing from the cafe deal, panicking everyone, locking accounts. This is chaos, and you're making it worse. For a second, my fingers hovered over the keyboard. I almost unleashed everything boiling inside my head. Instead, I deleted the draft and opened my email. First, I wrote to the commercial landlord. Per our previous conversation, please consider this written confirmation that I have withdrawn from the Hartwell Cafe space lease as a guarantor and primary qualifying party. Any further representation that I am participating in this transaction is inaccurate and unauthorized. Then I requested formal cancellation documentation be sent to my parents, copying their attorney. Next, I opened a new message, this time addressed to Natasha, but written like any compliance violation report I would file at work. Natasha, this email serves as formal notice that any attempt to alter ownership structure, signatory authority, or financial framework related to Hartwell Commercial Partners, its associated property leases, or retirement accounts without my written consent is unauthorized and may constitute fraud. Do not sign my name. Do not imply my approval. Any such action will be documented and shared with legal counsel. Sienna, no accusations, no emotional language, just facts and consequences. I sent it, then turned my phone face down on the passenger seat. By the time I drove home, my call log showed 8 more attempts from Mother, for from father, none from Natasha. At my apartment, I opened my laptop and created a new folder labeled Family Compliance File. I dragged in screenshots of texts, the lawyer's voicemail, Elizabeth's notes, the email I just sent. Every move, every fabrication, every attempt to frame me as unstable was going in there. Because if Natasha was constructing a narrative where I was the problem, where I was the weak link to be eliminated so she could slide into position, then I was going to construct a superior narrative, one supported by timestamps and evidence. And I couldn't help wondering, as I watched the files accumulate on my screen, how many families implode like this because one person values the role of victim they've been rehearsing their entire life more than they value truth. 5 days later, an unknown number flashed on my screen in the middle of reviewing a compliance report. I almost sent it to voicemail until I recognized the consulting firm name. This is Sienna. Hi, Sienna. This is Ryan Caldwell, your parents' new business consultant. He said, I need to discuss some irregularities in the Hartwell retirement structure. That word made me sit up straighter. He explained he'd been reviewing the commercial account and retirement funds and had discovered draft documents adding Natasha as a co-manager or partner with my name referenced as approving modifications, but no actual signature from me anywhere. To be absolutely clear, Ryan, I said, I have not approved anything. I haven't signed a single document since the day Elizabeth, and I set everything up. Ryan sighed. I suspected as much. Your family is operating under the impression you stepped aside, and that these modifications reflect your wishes. The word stressed came up multiple times. From a liability standpoint, I needed your direct confirmation. Treat every request as unauthorized unless you see my live signature. I told him, if someone claims otherwise, request written proof. You won't receive any. After we disconnected, my cousin Harper called. Are you okay? She blurted. Because the way Natasha has been talking, it sounds like you're having some kind of crisis. I asked what exactly Natasha was saying. That you withdrew from the cafe lease because of anxiety, that you're hoarding control of the business account, that you threatened to cut mom and dad off financially. Harper said, now she's posting about toxic power dynamics in families. None of that sounds like you. None of it is accurate. I said. Harper lowered her voice. I didn't think so. It doesn't match the Sienna who paid for their roof replacement. I just wanted you to know what's circulating. Thanks. Screenshot if you're comfortable. Otherwise, don't feed her audience. We hung up. A moment later, an email thread appeared in my inbox. Subject: Hartwell Cafe, lease update. It was from our landlord Patricia with my parents, Natasha, and Marcus the lawyer copied. Quoted beneath her reply was Natasha's message. Patricia, as we discussed, Sienna has withdrawn due to personal mental health struggles. We need to proceed without her. Please respect her limitations. Natasha, it sounded so compassionate, it made my skin crawl. Patricia's actual reply was professional and firm. Thank you, Natasha. For liability purposes, I'll need written confirmation directly from Sienna and will pause the file until then. I started typing before the anger could soften. Hi, Patricia, I wrote. Attached is my written withdrawal from 4 days ago and the original guarantor documents. I am not withdrawing due to mental health struggles. I am withdrawing because I no longer consent to my name, business license, or creditworthiness being used under the current family circumstances. Any other characterization of my decision is inaccurate. Thanks for pausing the file. Sienna, I copied Marcus and Ryan. Attached everything proving I had been the primary driver from the beginning. Patricia replied quickly to the smaller group. Understood. I will disregard Natasha's prior message and only act on instructions that come from you directly. A brief email followed from Marcus. Received. We should discuss next steps. That evening, there was an envelope slipped under my apartment door with my mother's handwriting. Inside, on floral stationery, she'd written, "We love you." We were emotional. Please call us so we can repair this before it escalates further. Love, Mom. For a second, my chest ached. I could picture her at the kitchen table while Natasha paced and performed, arranging the narrative. My phone buzzed again. Harper had sent a screenshot of Natasha's newest post. Sometimes the most dangerous person in a family is the one who controls all the resources and punishes you when you don't comply. Healing means walking away from people who weaponize their power, even if they share your last name. The comments were filled with hearts, and "You're so brave." I placed the note from my mother next to my laptop and opened the folder labeled Family Compliance File. Emails, voicemails, consultant notes, screenshots, all arranged in neat chronological rows. Up until now, I'd just been closing doors. As I watched the files stack up, I realized defense wasn't sufficient. If Natasha wanted to construct a narrative where I was the villain, I was going to respond with something she couldn't manipulate, a simple documented story that left her standing alone in the spotlight. The next morning, while I was at my desk, my phone buzzed with a new text from my mother. "Just 10 minutes, no conflict. Please." I stared at it. 10 minutes wasn't going to fix a text message that told me to stay away, but it sounded more like her than anything she'd sent in weeks. "Call me," I wrote. She answered immediately, and I heard the faint speaker echo. "Your father is here too," she said. "Hey, sweetheart," Gregory added. "You wanted 10 minutes. I said. Mother exhaled. "We made a mistake, Sienna. Saying you're done here. Stay away." That was extreme. We shouldn't have communicated it that way. "You didn't," I said. "You communicated exactly that." She went quiet, then tried again. "Your sister told us things. She said that you were planning to eliminate us from the business account, consulting with lawyers about removing us from retirement funds, saying you were exhausted from carrying us and wanted complete control. She said you told her after brunch, in the parking lot." "None of that ever occurred," I said. "Did you hear those words from me directly?" "Well, no," Mother admitted. "Natasha said you discussed it in the parking lot on the way to your cars." "I took the bus that day," I said. "I left alone." There was no parking lot conversation. Father swore quietly. Why would she fabricate that? "Maybe because she wanted what I have." I said, "If I'm unstable and power-hungry, inserting herself into documents appears like protecting you, not exploiting you." Father sighed. "This has moved beyond family disagreement now. Marcus called. Ryan called you. Patricia paused the lease. It's documented." "I know," I said. "That's why I'm finished with whispers and implications. We're going to sit down, all four of us, in the same room. No speakerphone, no vague posts. I'll bring documentation. You bring everything Natasha told you. Then we examine what survives scrutiny. Do we have to involve attorneys?" Mother asked. "They're already involved," I said. "The question is whether they see Natasha's story first or the evidence." "When?" Father asked. "Tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock at the house," I said. "If Natasha won't come, that's an answer too." The next evening, I walked into my parents' living room with a thick folder under my arm. Same gray sectional, same framed wedding photos, completely different atmosphere. My parents sat together on the sofa, Natasha perched in an armchair, clutching a tissue like a stage prop. She refused to look at me. "Thanks for coming," Father said. I set the folder and my phone on the coffee table. "Just so we're clear," I said, "nothing about this conversation is off the record in my mind. If anyone lies, I won't keep it contained here." Natasha scoffed. "Wow, way to create hostility. We're family." "Then the truth shouldn't frighten anyone," I said. Mother twisted her hands. Natasha, honey, tell Sienna what you told us. No, I said. Natasha can speak for herself. Go ahead. Natasha rolled her eyes. I just repeated what you said. She snapped that you were finished carrying everything, that you were considering removing your name from things, that you wanted complete control of the business account, so you didn't have to consult them. And this was in the parking lot after brunch, correct? I asked. She nodded. Yeah, you were upset. You probably don't even remember. I opened the folder, pulled out a printed statement, and slid it across. That day at Riverside Bistro, right? Check the timestamps. Mother's eyes moved down the page. Natasha's rideshare receipt to their house at 11:47 a.m. My bus pass scan across town at 11:43 a.m. Different routes, different transportation. I took the bus, I said. You took a car alone. There was no parking lot conversation. Maybe it was another day, Natasha said quickly. Before you say that, here's the only other time we all had brunch in the last 4 months, I said, flipping to another printout. That day, you left early to meet friends. I stayed to pay. No private conversation then either. Father leaned back slowly. Natasha, he said quietly. She shrugged. Memory is unreliable. Okay, I was trying to help. I thought she was serious about needing space. I laid down the email to Patricia next. My withdrawal sent before Natasha's mental health narrative. Then Patricia's reply saying she'd ignore anything that didn't come from me. Then Ryan's note about draft documents with my name referenced but unsigned. Then screenshots of Natasha's posts and Harper's messages. One by one, the pages constructed a line from that text message to this couch. Mother finally turned to Natasha. You told us you saw emails, she whispered. You told us Sienna said she was finished with us. Natasha sat up straighter. So now you just believe her because she printed things, she said. She's always liked control. She's manipulating everything to make me look irrational. Father fixed his eyes on her. The truth doesn't disintegrate when you hold it next to a receipt. He said, yours did. Mother looked at me. And for the first time since that text message, I saw something shift in her expression. We always thought you could handle more, she said. We viewed Natasha as fragile, so we protected her and pushed responsibility onto you. And now I'm sitting here realizing the only person who has lied to us is the one we told to stay away. Natasha opened her mouth, but Mother lifted a hand. Not this time, she said softly. The word landed between them, and I felt something inside me finally, quietly slide back into place. They had tried to eliminate me based on a script Natasha wrote. Now they were watching that script burn page by page, and realizing they were moments away from losing the one person who had actually kept them stable. The silence after my mother's words sat there like a fifth presence in the room. Natasha shifted in her chair, eyes darting between our parents and me, testing which direction the wind was blowing. So what now? She snapped finally. You've got your little folder of papers. Congratulations, Sienna. Are you satisfied you made Mom cry? I ignored the provocation. This isn't about anyone crying. I said, it's about consequences. You told me I was done. You tried to push modifications through behind my back. You told people I was unstable, so you could step into things I built. That has to mean something other than a tearful social media post, and everyone pretending it never happened. My father rubbed his jaw the way he did when he was working through a difficult problem. What do you believe should happen? He asked. Natasha whipped her head toward him. Seriously, Dad, you're asking her? I met his eyes. You wanted me removed from the family business? I said, fine. I'll step back from being the default safety net. But that also means no one gets to quietly use my name, my business license, or my work. starting with ensuring Natasha has zero access to anything I've established. My mother hesitated. Natasha doesn't have access, she started, but I shook my head. Not formally, perhaps, I said, but she's been in meetings. She's been in group texts about the cafe. She's been talking to consultants like decisions were already moving in her favor. That stops today. Father sighed, looked at Natasha. Honey, he said, we need to be explicit here. No more talking to consultants on our behalf. No more speaking for us. No more implying that Sienna is agreeable to things when she isn't. Natasha blinked hard. So you're just going to eliminate me, she said, voice going high and thin. After everything I've done for you? What exactly is that? I asked, unable to stop myself. The Instagram story about being raised by emotionally unavailable parents, or the half-formed business proposals you wanted me to fund. Mother flinched, but didn't scold me this time. Gregory, she said quietly, maybe we should make it official. No additional partners, no shared accounts, no promises we can't keep. We've been saying for years we'd help Natasha launch something, pay off this card, co-sign that lease. All it has done is make her believe she's entitled to resources that aren't there until Sienna builds them. I looked at her, surprised at how direct she was being. Pauline turned to me. We want you to restructure the documents, she said. The business account, the retirement arrangements, all of it based on what you think actually makes sense, not what we say in the middle of a conflict. I stared at her. You're asking me to take control again after you just told me to stay away? I said slowly. She nodded, eyes wet. I'm asking you to do what you've been doing this entire time, she said. Only this time with us admitting you understand more than we do. Natasha let out a harsh laugh. Unbelievable. You're handing her everything. You're punishing me because I told the truth about how she treats us. Father looked at her steadily. The truth would have held up against a bus pass, he said. Yours didn't. That's the difference. For the first time since I'd walked in, Natasha looked genuinely shaken. Her eyes flicked to me, searching for some old version of me who might offer a lifeline. I didn't. Gregory took a breath. Here's what we're going to do, he said, falling into the firm tone he used to use at the construction site. Sienna, you and Marcus and Ryan figure out whatever it takes to make the business account and the retirement funds bulletproof. You and I remain the only managing partners. Your mother is a beneficiary. Natasha is not in any position of control anywhere. If we help her, it will be from our own pockets, not by opening back doors into what you built. Natasha sat forward. You can't just erase me like that, she said. I'm your daughter, too. My mother winced. We're not erasing you, she said. We're stopping the pretense that resources we don't have will materialize because we put your name on something Sienna created. If we ever help you, it will be because you have a genuine plan and we can actually afford it, not because we feel guilty. Natasha switched tactics so rapidly it made my head spin. Fine, she said, tears welling up. Then let me prove it, Sienna. Give me a small role in the business account. Let me handle social media or something. Let me show you I can contribute instead of just taking. It was almost impressive the way she slid from outrage to pleading to the angle that made her appear most reasonable. A year ago, I might have fallen for it. Now, I just saw another version of the same pattern. I stood up, picked up my folder. No, I said simply, if you want to prove you can build something, you don't do it by wiring yourself into what someone else has already built. You do it by starting with nothing, like I did. My mother looked between us. Sienna, isn't that a bit harsh? She asked softly. I shook my head. Harsh was being told I was done and should stay away, I said. Harsh was having my stability used as a prop to gain sympathy online. This is just boundaries, Mom. There's a difference. Natasha glared at me. You're going to regret this, she hissed. You think you can cut me off and walk away clean? I picked up my phone and slid it into my bag. No, I said, I think I can protect what I've earned and stop you from turning my work into your safety net. Whatever happens to you after that is not on me. On my way out, my father walked me to the door. I'm sorry, he said quietly, for the text message, for not asking you first, for letting it escalate this far. I believed what was easiest to hear. I nodded, feeling a complicated mix of relief and sadness wash over me. I know, I said, but believing the easy story doesn't mean the consequences are easy too. Over the next 2 weeks, the shifts became real. Ryan sent over revised drafts with only my and Gregory's names in control positions. Marcus scheduled a meeting where my parents signed documents limiting who could ever access their accounts. I updated the business operating agreement to explicitly state that no new managing partner could be added without unanimous written consent from existing ones.